So I love my time in Baltimore. Baltimore was amazing, but I mean, New York City, like if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. It's where I want to be.
And you knew from right off the bat,
Yeah.
right off the bat, you're going to end up in New York City.
Yeah, because New York City is the best of the best, and I didn't think I'd ever be satisfied anywhere else. You know, I always wanted to build my. I say I planted my flag in New York, right? Like I'm always going to be here now. So even if I want to expand to Jersey, or you know, I've got some different things in the works, this is still always going to be HQ for me is New York City. And what better neighborhood to do it than, I mean, Flatiron, historic. I mean, some of these buildings are 300 years old. It's like, it's a really iconic neighborhood, and that's where I always want to be.
That's what's up.
You know,
Johnny, moving from East Village to Flatiron, what has been your biggest pain point?
You know, they say location's everything, right? Everyone's like location, location, location. The East Village has such a neighborhood vibe that people there don't want to leave the East Village.
So if people from there come up here?
I was surprised how many people were like, I would still rather go to the East Village location, even though it's half the size of.
For the record, it wasn't half the size. It was
A quarter of the size.
eighth of the size. Yeah. It was literally the size of his office.
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise is that like the East Village people are super loyal to the East Village, which I knew that when I was working there because we had such really awesome patients and stuff. But being in Flatiron, I mean, we're only a mile away, but we have a completely separate Flatiron crowd now, which is just, it's kind of funny to me because like I used to walk back and forth between both offices, sometimes multiple times a day.
Do you think that's like a New York?
100%, 100%, because New York City, it's the biggest city in the United States, but you still have these neighborhoods where there's so many people in a small space. You got your farmer's market, your grocery store, your neighborhood bar, your laundromat. It's like Cheers, like everybody knows your name. And there's something to be said about that, like having a neighborhood feel in the biggest city in the United States. I think people are just like appreciative of that, especially if they've moved here from other areas. Maybe it feels more like a home to them. So
yeah, I mean, I tell people like, oh, you should move at least every 2 years because you go 5 blocks north, south, east, or west, and you're in a totally different neighborhood when you're in Manhattan.
It's tough though because people start getting their roots, and then it takes a while to get things figured out. I mean, even when I moved from the West Village to Battery Park, I've been there for almost 2 years, and I feel like I'm now just starting to like really have my go-to spots. Because you know, in the beginning, you end up going back to the old places.
Would you move your office if you can get something bigger and better?
No, I'm staying here. I want to do more offices. That's what I'm saying. I don't want to be.
That's what I'm talking about.
I don't want to relocate. I want to play a game of Monopoly, man.